All right, so we're finishing up page 7 and 8 on the geometry midterm review for chapters 6, 7, and 8. We are at the top of page 7, so number 57, finding the cosine of 40 degrees. So again, you want to make sure your calculator is in degree mode, and then you simply type cosine of 40, hit the equal sign. We're rounding to the nearest 4 decimal places. So we have 7660 with a 4 next to it, so it stays. And that's the answer. For number 59, same thing, type tangent of 45, hit the equal sign. We have 1, so we're going to round it to the nearest 4 decimals. Looks like that. Number 61 through 66, find the value of each trigonometric ratio. Ratio just means they want it as a fraction. So for number 61, they want the sine of z. So I'm going to circle angle z. And I know that sine is opposite. So I'm going to label 24 opposite over the hypotenuse. So I'm going to label 26 the hypotenuse. And I'm going to write that ratio, 24 to 26. And then I'm just going to reduce it to 12 over 13. Number 63 is the cosine of z. So from angle z, we want the adjacent. So I'm going to label 28 adjacent over the hypotenuse. So I'm going to label 35 the hypotenuse, and I'm going to write that ratio, 28 to 35. And then I'm just going to reduce it. Those are both divisible by 7. So this is 4/5. And number 65, I need the tangent of x. So I'm going to circle angle x. And for tangent, it's opposite over adjacent. So here's the opposite. Here's the adjacent. I've got 21 over 20. Double check to see if we can reduce it. This one you can't, so just leave it. Number 67, find the missing side and round to the nearest tenth. So for sides, you're going to use regular trig. And from angle 63, we've got the x, which is the opposite, and 20, which is the hypotenuse. So that tells me we should use the sine of 63. Set that equal to the opposite, which is x, over the hypotenuse, which is 20. Right now, x is being divided by 20, so the inverse operation is to multiply by 20. So I multiply both sides by 20, and they cancel over here, so x is going to be equal to 20 times the sine of 63. And you just want to type that into your calculator. So again, make sure it's in degree mode. Type 20, hit the sign button, punch in 63, hit the equal sign. We're rounding to the nearest tenth, so we have 17.8. There's a 2 next to it, so it's going to stay. X is approximately 17.8. And flip over to the last page, page 8. And up at the top, we're on number 69. So we're looking at this angle right here because that's the one that's labeled, and the 2 sides. So this is the adjacent. This is the hypotenuse. So cosine of 50 is going to be equal to the adjacent, which is x, over the hypotenuse, 20. Right now, x is being divided by 20, so we multiply by 20. Over here, they cancel, and we have x is equal to the 20 times the cosine of 50. And here's how, again, how you type in your calculator. You're going to type 20. Multiply it by the cosine of 50, hit the equal sign. We're rounding to the nearest tenth. So right now we have 12.8, but there's a 5 next to it, so it's going to round up to 12.9. Number 71. Here's our angle that's labeled. So the 11 is opposite, and the x is adjacent. So that means we're going to use the tangent of 56. Set that equal to 11 over x, okay? This time the x is in the denominator, so I'm going to multiply both sides by x, so they cancel over here, and then divide both sides by the tangent of 56. And those cancel, so we have x is equal to 11 divided by the tangent of 56, and you can just type that in your calculator again. So you're going to do 11 divided by the tangent of 56, hit the equal sign. Right now I have 7.4. Did I type something wrong? No, I typed it right. I just wanted to double check. That answer didn't seem right. So x is approximately 7.4 because there's a 1 next to it, so it stays. All right, numbers 73 through 78. Find the angle measured to the nearest degree. When you're finding the angle, that means you're going to use inverse trig. So for 73, you're going to hit the second button before you hit sign, and then type that decimal, or technically it could be a fraction, 0.9976. Hit the equal sign. Right now we have 86. After the decimal is a 0, so it's going to stay 86 degrees. Number 75. Second button, cosine. Type the decimal. Hit the equal sign. We have 51. After the decimal is a 0, so it's going to stay 51. Number 77. Hit the second button, tangent. Type in the decimal, 1.1918. Hit the equal sign. We've got 50. After the decimal is another 0, so stays at 50. Numbers 79 through 84.
Stephen Campus to the attendance window, please. Stephen Campus to the attendance window. Brandon Boet to the attendance office, please. Brandon Boet to the attendance office.
All right, so this one says find the measure of the indicated angle to the nearest degree. So again, we know we're going to use inverse trig, but I'm going to label this angle x, and the 23 is opposite, the 35 is hypotenuse. So I'm going to use sine, but I also know I'm going to use inverse trig. So I'm going to do 23 over 35, and I can type it in the calculator just like that. So I need to hit second sine, make sure it has a little inverse, 23 divided by 35, hit the equals. We've got 41, but after the decimal is a 0, so it's going to stay 41 degrees. Number 81. I'm going to change this question mark to an x, and again, I've got adjacent and hypotenuse. So that means I'm going to use cosine. I know I need to use the inverse. This side is 11. The hypotenuse is 38. So on your calculator, make sure you hit second cosine. Type the fraction 11 divided by 38. Hit the equal sign. We've got 73. After the decimal is a 1, so it's going to stay 73. All right, last one, number 83. Change that to an x. Here's your opposite. Here's your adjacent. That means we're going to use tangent. Definitely want the inverse. And it's 18 over 32. So on your calculator, you're going to hit second tangent. 18 divided by 32. Hit the equal sign. We've got 29, but after the decimal is a 3, so it's going to stay 29 degrees. Thanks for watching.